Trump Derangement Syndrome returns, written by Margaret Kimberly, and that's him sitting at the table, the defendant table. Donald Trump and his defense team at his arraignment, and that's a photo from the AP. If Democrats were smart, Donald Trump would be a disgraced former president, forgotten by all, but his most ardenest art. I'm sorry, let me say that again. If Democrats were smart, Donald Trump would be a disgraced former president, forgotten by all but his most ardent admirers. But they aren't smart, and they may have gotten him a political resurrection. And this is sort of the point that I was making when I say that they're trying to hand Donald Trump the election, his stance on Ukraine, and then to me, this can only rile up. Like, this is not changing anybody's mind about Trump. The people who are already on Trump's side is already there. The people who weren't on Trump's side are already there. Not changing minds. But this can be something that's to light a fire to bring out his base at a higher rate than the opposition. So now let's continue. Donald Trump is back in the news. He is facing a 34-count indictment for paying people to be silent about his private life. What should be fodder for the gossip pages has instead resulted in criminal charges, a historic precedent for a former president. The amount of news coverage is surpassed only by the level of glee created by scenes of his arrest. And I'll pause there. And I tried to kind of paint that picture with a couple of videos to show sort of this derangement. Like, they're acting like this guy is being arraigned for murder, for armed robbery, for rape, for even manslaughter, even drunk driving. Like, what's the worst he can get? And I mean, to bring this to as a felony, there's people, legal experts, that are saying that this probably can be dismissed. It may not even get there. The legal standing to even bring a charge for New York to bring a charge about some sort of election problem, is not in their jurisdiction, according to these legal experts that I'm talking about. But let's continue the article. Trump is certainly a polarizing figure, more so perhaps than any other president. His unexpected win over Hillary Clinton in 2016 resulted in trauma for millions of people who have never recovered, and they still allow the man they dislike to live rent-free in their heads, as they do over at the Lincoln Project, especially. You can see that. As this columnist has pointed out, neither Trump nor any other president has ever faced consequences for their worst offenses, crimes against humanity. George Bush invaded Iraq. Barack Obama destroyed Libya. Both men enjoy popularity and have no reason to fear any kind of censure for killing thousands of people. Let's see if I can move that off. There we go. Trump also committed such crimes in office, such as killing up to 40,000 Venezuelans through his sanctions regimes and assassinating Iranian General Soleimani. And as with his predecessors, those crimes go unpunished. Trump's prosecution is obviously political. He is charged with falsifying business records, which can be treated as a misdemeanor, but Manhattan's district attorney says he sought to avoid taxes and influence an election, allowing him to charge Trump with felonies. The Justice Department already declined to charge Trump with election interference. It seems that the district attorney Alvin Bragg looked for something, anything that would rise to the level of a felony charge. One doesn't need to be a Trump supporter to conclude that thumbs were on the scale of justice. And I'm going to pause here. Marianne, I'm sorry, not Marianne, but Margaret Kimberly is absolutely on point in my assessment so far with this article. Like, there's a lot of other things. It's the same thing with impeachment. There was a lot of other things they could have went after him for, all up and down the emoluments clause. But they are also making money, Nancy Pelosi, off of their office that could be brought up for impeachment on the emoluments charge. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, all of them, Jim Clyburn, all of these people, Kevin McCarthy, can be brought up on these charges, Mitch McConnell. So this is what they do. All the crimes that they're all doing, let's avoid those. Why you don't see those crimes? So that's why they have to get these very underwhelming arraignments and crimes that you're talking about at this level and trying to pump up your audience, CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, Washington Post. But then they come in with the actual meat and potatoes, and it's like, wow, this is it. The same thing happened with Russiagate and Robert Miller. But let's continue with the article. The arraignment was a typical media and political circus. Conservative Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene came to the protest and proclaimed Trump's innocence, while Congressional Black Caucus member Jamal Bowman showed up for the purpose of shouting her down. You see the clown show? Bowman yelled that Greene should take her ass back to Washington and added with rhetoric flourish, quote, do something about gun violence, do something about affordable housing, do something about childhood poverty, end quote. The same could be said of Bowman, who, along with his colleagues, do nothing to address any of those issues and who refuse to confront Joe Biden who was marketed as the, quote, most progressive president since FDR, while emergency SNAP nutritional benefits end and millions may be thrown off Medicaid as the pandemic era automatic enrollment ends. So Bowman comes out in his coon suit to play Captain, save a joke, because that's what this really is about, re-electing Joe Biden for him and getting out there, getting his name out there. He did none of this loud talking when Joe Biden was running, or when the Democrats had the House of Leadership. None of this loud talking did he do, that he now is so readily to do, like he did in the halls of Congress about the shooting and some so-called legislation that would do nothing but disarm the proletariat while letting all of the bad guys, aka the police, keep guns. So no thank you. Let's continue with the article, and then we'll get to the next article, that is, on a different topic. The next topic, I should say. Bowman and others of his ilk make far too much of the impact of Trump indictment, calling it, quote, one step towards accountability, and adding, America needs a reckoning, and I think Trump is essential to that reckoning when you consider and his policies, end quote. This country certainly needs a reckoning for many reasons, but there is nothing about Trump being criminally charged for offenses that has nothing to do with his office that address the terrible wrongs that are committed by this system every day. Such a very, very good point made by Margaret Kimberly there. Trump has already announced he is running for president again. The charges don't prevent him from winning, or serving again. The Republican establishment won't be rid of him, but they are caught in a bind because Republican voters are still Trump supporters. He could win the nomination again, and given the apathy and disappointment created by the phony, most progressive president since Truman, since FDR, Trump could win again. So listen to the point that she's making here, and it's also to the point I made. You're only making this a race because you are so terrible, Democrats. You're only making this a tough race with Donald Trump because you are so awful yourself. So you are leaving the vacuum for him to even be electable, as you would say. The phenomenon known as Trump derangement syndrome has returned with a vengeance. People who should know better are applauding his legal troubles, completely forgetting that he was counted out in 2016, only to emerge victorious with the help of the Democratic Party's impotence and overconfidence. If Democrats want to be rid of Trump, they should have done a better job of meeting the people's need. If Donald Trump, let me stop here. If Donald Trump loses again, Donald Trump will run again. Donald Trump will run again until he wins, in my opinion. What does he have to lose? So-called progressives like Congressman Bowman should have taken on their party's leadership and made demands on behalf of the people they claim to care so much about. And I'm going to say now. But Bowman and others went down the line with Biden and were silent as he refused to do anything about student loan debt and helped him to undermine railroad workers by preventing them from going on strike. Instead of action, we get posturing outside of a courthouse and going along to get along with their discredited leadership. Actually, they are all discredited, not fit for any purpose other than trying to fool the public. This is such a spot on section here. Let me read this again. So let's now go back and read that little section. Instead of action by the Democrats, we get posturing outside of the courthouse, like we saw with Jamal Bowman, and going along to get along with their discredited leadership, like Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden. Actually, they are all discredited, not fit for any purpose other than trying to fool the public, which is what Jamal Bowman was doing by even showing up to combat. Oh, I'm gonna get Marjorie Taylor Greene out of here. When after she came to do what she wanted to do. As for Trump, he has been politically resurrected by cynical forces. The latest polls show him leading his main challenger, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. We all deserve better than Trump or Biden too, for that matter, but those working to get rid of Trump may have ensured that the 45th president will be the 47th as well. And that is the point that I make also. And that is the end of the article. But like I said, great article. You can check out the link in the description box if you want to go check that out for yourselves. We're going to mosey on down the line for the next topic. But let me toss up some of your comments because I know the comments are on this current topic before we move to the next topic here. Let's toss up some of your comments. Governor Ron DeSanctimonious is ready to rumble. Only difference is Trump wins if Dems will all of a sudden clutch pearls in media. Let's go to some more. Here we go. They want to disqualify Trump by any means. They hope that a felony conviction will do that, which is so absurd. So this is what they're trying to do. This is why they had to raise this low-level if you want to call it a crime infraction, to a felony, because it has to be in felony in order for it to disqualify him. Because obviously their propaganda isn't working. The narrative control isn't working. It's not persuading people, from all the impeachments to all the arraignments to all the porn star. They keep trying to use the term porn star when just say her name. You don't have to keep trying to include that to paint a particular picture. How dare you, AOC, to voters? Let's go. It's a lot of you guys talking to each other. All right, so lots of talking to each other. All right, so those are the comments for that one. Now I think we can move on. We got through the comments for this last segment that we just completed. And again, let me shout this out. If you are in any of these cities, Long Beach, Boston, Orlando, KC, Detroit, Los Angeles, Compton, or any of those surrounding cities. So like in our area, because I know California, like the surrounding city of Long Beach would be like Seal Beach, it would be like Paramount, it would be like Cerritos, Carson, San Pedro, any of these cities, these are all surrounding cities. Torrance would work. Email us, and let me put up our email address. If you are interested in being a part of the local RBN chapter, email us. Info at revblacknetwork.com. Email us if you're interested in being, and the chapters are in those cities I had up there. The chapters are launching in these cities. Let me make a distinction here. Because it's not all these cities. It's launching in these cities here. And LA and Compton are just close to Long Beach. That's all. So we're launching in Long Beach, Boston, Orlando, KC, and Detroit. Those 5 cities. If you're in those cities or in surrounding cities and want to be a part of RBN chapters, all you have to do is email us. In the subject, put the name of the city chapter. So in the subject line, you're going to put one of these 5 cities: Long Beach, Boston, Orlando, KC, or Detroit. Long Beach, Boston, Orlando, KC, or Detroit. That is what's going to be in your subject line when you email us here, info at revblacknetwork.com. Here's our website, revolutionaryblackoutnetwork.com. Each chapter will be doing something slightly different. The overall is to help the community, but each we're individualizing our outreach to the specific area. Here's our Substack. Join it if you want notifications when we go live. And don't forget, we now offer RBN memberships, $3.99 on YouTube. Or if you prefer, Patreon is still the best way to support RBN. The lowest I've seen is even $2 a month. I've seen somebody paying $2 a month. You get the same access for whatever level you pay, same access. We're sitting at 200 likes, and we got up to like 270 people watching. So let's get to 250. Let's shoot for 250. So 50 more people watching right now. Hit that like button. 50 more people hit that like button right now. And now let's go to the next story. Teaming up with Dems has been shown to be a complete failure. Teaming up with Dems has been shown to be a complete failure. So let's I'll just go to the description box and get the link out of there. Now, this article, not written by Margaret Kimberly, I'll shout out the name of the author in just a second, but this is another good article, and it's along the lines of what we preach here on RBN. We're post-duopoly. We're the post-duopoly left. That's who we are. That's who we want to represent, because we believe the post-duopoly left is all of the proletariat. And here it goes. Post-duopoly left, PDL. We are PDLs. Post-duopoly left. Let's dig into this story